Life, like software, can be debugged, rewritten, and optimized. After 20 years of coding software, I recoded my life. That journey defined wellness for me. A calm nervous system, steady blood sugar, trust in the body, and doing what you love. This season, I'll walk you through that transformation. In future seasons, I'll be joined by guests to deepen the conversation. In today's episode, I'm looking back and connecting the dots. I'm Mary Toscano, and this is Coding Wellness. In the last episode, I talked about what a culture shock massage school was, especially after 20 years in engineering. I had left the tech world to spend more time with my daughter, Tiana. Becoming a massage therapist was never the plan. I just wanted to learn how to give a massage without complaining about it. But right as I was finishing massage school and starting nutrition school, the stock market, where I had most of my savings, unexpectedly crashed. At the same time, and almost like it was meant to happen, I was offered a job doing massage at the spa in a coastal resort. And even though I never intended to do massage for a living, I took the job because I needed income. So at this point in the story, I'm going to nutrition school, I'm spending more time with Tiana, and I've just started working at the spa. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to take a step back and tell you a little more about who I am, my personality, and my frame of mind at this time in my life. Because even though being a massage therapist was the last thing I wanted to do, it turns out it was a great fit. Parts of my personality that I had struggled with in the past and that were labeled as bad, like being hypersensitive, actually became gifts in this line of work. When I look at how the puzzle pieces of my life fit together, it almost feels like I was destined to be a massage therapist the whole time. Which is a funny way for destiny to work, given that I had zero desire to do it. So before we move forward, I think it's important to pause and look at how some of the puzzle pieces of my life started fitting together. Okay, first thing you should know about me is I'm an introvert, a hardcore introvert with social anxiety, which is why engineering was a great fit for me. I could be alone working in a room for days. I didn't have to talk to anyone. I didn't have to answer the phone. Perfect for an introvert. It's funny, I didn't even realize that I was an introvert until the day my daughter Tiana pointed this out to me in her not so delicate way. Tiana was 11 years old at the time, and what I didn't realize was that she was an extrovert. And one day I was trying to teach her one of my introverted ways, thinking it was best, of course. And Tiana just looked at me and said, "Mom, I don't want to be like you. I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with you. And you need to learn how to deal with me." I remember being shocked and number one thinking, wait, what do you mean I have to be dealt with? I didn't even know there was such a thing as introverted and extroverted. I just thought my way was the best way, and everyone different needed to change because they made me feel uncomfortable. Accepting people as they are was definitely a foreign concept to me, unless, of course, they were exactly like me. So, yes, I'm an introvert, which most people find hard to believe when I tell them, I speak at conferences in front of thousands of people, and I've always been great at connecting with people one-on-one. I got that from my mother. She can meet someone in the grocery line and know their entire life story by the time they checked out. I do the same thing, but I take it one step further. When I meet someone new, I immediately try to zero in on the special gifts and talents they have. I have this fundamental belief we're all given gifts, unique to each of us, and we're given them for a reason. And it's important for humanity that we act on these gifts. So when I meet someone, that's what I'm tuning into first. What's their unique gift that sets them apart? And I make it a point to tell them. For instance, I can usually spot artists by something they're wearing, or writers and teachers by the way they speak. I can sense their gifts pretty quickly. It's like a treasure hunt, and I'm really good at it. So, one on one, I'm great. What people don't realize is if there are two people in the room and I'm not in charge or managing the flow, it starts getting dicey. Three people, I'm starting to degrade. Four, forget it, I'm out of the room. After speaking at a conference, I need a solid week alone just to reset. I also have no tolerance for superficial conversation. Heaven forbid you say, "Hi, how are you?" to me. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Parties are unbearable unless I'm the first one there and have some sort of control. Otherwise, I have no idea what to do with myself. On the rare occasions I did throw a party, I'd always have to sneak off for 20 minutes to lie on the floor and reset. I'm also one of those people where if you say to me, "Hey, let's get together for coffee or lunch," it just stresses me out. Out loud, I'm saying, "Yeah, yeah, let's." But inside, I'm thinking, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." Even with people I genuinely want to see. So even though I have a deep interest in people and love hearing their stories, I rarely get the chance because I avoid social situations like the plague. So I crave connection, but it must be on my own terms, and there must be a time limit or a way for me to escape. So, yes, I'm an introvert. And on top of that, I'm sensitive to everything, not just emotionally. It's like I have a delicate radar system that is highly reactive to any outside input. I can feel and sense things most people don't even notice. I can detect an energetic shift in someone, sometimes even before they realize it. I got it from living with a mentally ill aunt that came to take care of our family when my mother was sick. I never knew what kind of a mood she would be in. She would slip into rage without warning. For survival, I became hypersensitive to detect her mood swings. This kind of sensitivity is also common with children of alcoholics. I needed this sensitivity for protection growing up, but it's really hard to live with as an adult. My sense of smell is also over the top. If someone who is swimming in the lane next to me has had garlic the night before, I have to change lanes. My friends say I can smell an onion on a chip they're eating 2 rooms away. I'm also sensitive to sound. Loud noises are unbearable. Every 4th of July, I actually have to leave town and find a quiet place to escape the fireworks. Even just shutting a door will make me wake up out of a sound sleep. It's almost impossible to shut a door quietly enough for me, and so people who live with me usually just leave the door slightly open. So I'm hypersensitive to shifts in energy, smells, noises, and to the slightest changes in my own body. The tiniest little changes in my body will make my world stop. Most people might notice a pain and move on. I'm more like everything stops until the left pinky heals. I will not rest until I figured it out and fixed it. My body is so sensitive that even someone accidentally breathing on me can make my skin crawl. This sensitivity has always felt like a curse, and it's been incredibly difficult to live with as an adult. So here I am at this point in my life, hypersensitive, introverted, socially anxious, and extremely underconfident since I was just coming out of massage school with very little experience. And it didn't help that in massage school, I was constantly being corrected by the teachers and surrounded by self-righteous, judgy hippie chicks in class who had their own hippie judgments and rules on top of the teachers' rules for how a massage should be given. The teachers had rules, no talking, no giving advice, and it had to be client-centered, meaning you follow what the client wants. Which, by the way, my daughter Tiana, who I was giving weekly massages to at the time, took full advantage of. I remember one time I was massaging her, and she kept asking me to go back and massage her head. After the 4th time, I said, "Come on, Tiana, I already massaged it 4 times." She said, "This is a client-centered massage. You need to do what I tell you to do." She knew I would have to do it because I'm a rule follower. I always follow the rules. But she also knew that this rule was extra hard for me because I like to be in control and have things done my way. So she really had fun with this client-centered rule. So the client-centered rule was hard for me. Not giving advice, really hard because I'm an engineer. I like to fix things. And then we have the no talking rule. So combine all the massage rules with being a hypersensitive introvert with very little massage experience. And this is the framework I was in when I started working at the spa in the resort. It was summer, peak season at the resort. It was like getting thrown into the fire. Despite being uncomfortable and unsure of myself, I just kept showing up. I was doing massage after massage with barely any turnaround time, almost like an assembly line. But I gained a lot of experience really fast. And with no teachers constantly correcting me, I started to get really confident. It was a resort, people were on vacation. I was massaging guests from all walks of life and all parts of the country. I was meeting more people in a single day than I normally would in an entire year. But I wasn't talking to them because I was still following the no talking rule, and that was making me crazy because I was so interested to know who they were, where they came from, and what they were about. So as I got more and more confident, it didn't take long before I started breaking the rules and having really deep conversations about their lives. It was perfect for an introvert like me. No small talk and a built-in time limit. So here I was meeting all sorts of interesting people, talking one-on-one deeply, hearing things they've never told anyone because they knew they'd never see me again. Hours flew by like minutes. It was fascinating learning their stories and seeing into their worlds. I was experiencing deep soul connections with complete strangers and discovering a part of myself I never knew existed. Then something started to happen. And this is where some of the puzzle pieces began to come together. I'm an engineer. I love data. I love patterns, and I'm constantly looking for them. The introvert in me was craving connection and was intensely listening to each of the client's stories. And we could get really deep fast because of my ability to hone in on their uniqueness. And being hypersensitive, I was picking up on energy and sensations in their bodies that most people wouldn't notice. So, it didn't take long before I started noticing a one-to-one correspondence between the stories people told me on the table and what I was feeling under my hands. It got to the point where I could put my hands on someone and say, "Oh yeah, I know this story." And guys especially would be like, how do you know that about me? Did you talk to my wife?" Nope. It was just data and patterns at that point. Nothing mystical, nothing magical. It could all be logically explained. But unfortunately, the logic stopped there. But it set the stage for what was about to come. And that's when I started to see more of the puzzle pieces of my life fit together. So when I take a step back and look at my life, if I didn't have such an intense love for Tiana and a deep need to get to know her, I never would have left my engineering job. If the stock market didn't crash, I never would have taken a job as a massage therapist. If I wasn't so hypersensitive, I wouldn't have been able to feel things in the client's body that most people can't feel. If I didn't have this intense need for connection that I wasn't getting as an introvert, I wouldn't have dared to break the rule and talk to the clients. And without my engineering mindset of loving data and constantly looking for patterns, I wouldn't have noticed the one-to-one correspondence between the client's life story and what I was feeling in their body. Like Steve Jobs said in his 2005 Stanford commencement speech, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. What he meant was you only see how life events connect after you've lived them. If you haven't heard that speech, it's online, and it's one of the most powerful talks I've ever listened to. Take 15 minutes. It's worth it. It made me see my own path differently. I realized that every part of my life, good and bad, was valuable. Nothing was wasted. It felt like my whole life had prepared me for this point. It's important to take the step back because so many pieces had to fall into place to set the stage for what was about to unfold. In the next episode, I'll share more of what I learned from the body and how the body reveals the truth. No words needed. So, as we close off the third episode of Coding Wellness, I'm wondering, have you had a moment in your life where the dots didn't make sense until later? If you feel like sharing, come tell me about it in the comments on Instagram or Facebook. I'd really love to know. Thank you for listening to Coding Wellness, created and hosted by me, Mary Toscano. I hope today's episode gave you valuable insights and inspiration for your own path. You can follow Coding Wellness on Instagram and Facebook. Please rate and review the podcast, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. This podcast is meant to be listened to in order. Each episode builds on the last. So if you're just jumping in, I encourage you to go back and start from the beginning. Take care and remember, there is extraordinary potential that lies within all of us. Each one of us has talents and gifts uniquely our own, and a place where we shine the brightest. The more we live from this place, the happier we are. And remember, life, like software, can be debugged, rewritten, and optimized. Bye for now.